Hi, I'm Paul Dawson, Design Director from Honky Interior Design. So September is historically the time when all the colour palettes are announced, and everyone kind of reviews them with bated breath, and this year it's been a real mixed bag. Looking through them and looking at the mix of palettes as suggested, I think you can break it into two categories. Moody neutrals. Neutrals have kind of developed and grown, no longer versions of beige, and people are actually realising now that neutrals actually go the full range, and neutrals including blacks. So they've really beefed them up this year in terms of the neutral palette. Most people see the neutrals as a background, as a background that they will then add to, and I think that how the palettes have developed is the fact that that's not the case anymore. They can be background and centre stage as well. And alongside that are the jewel tones. These have been developing, and they've been trying for a while to kind of to find the right kind of route for this. But this year, again, is the same way that neutrals have warmed up, so have the jewel tones. So you've got more. I think you think of all of the red wines that you like. So there's Merlot and there's Burgundy, and a lot warmer tones. Alongside that, though, you've got the blues and the greens, which have been bubbling along for quite some time. So it's a real mixed bag. The finishes, I think it's as much as finishes, it's details. Details are being added. So having done this job for 30 plus years, I was kind of involved in the ripping out of all the detailing, and we're actually now putting it back in. And I mentioned earlier about the neutrals being used to accent it. So we're not talking about using strong colours on drawing attention to mouldings or panelling. We're talking about the tones, but it is about embellishment, and it is about texture, primarily on walls. We will incorporate as many textures as possible because I love walking into an interior or watching someone walk around an interior that we've created and watch them interact with every texture that you've added, because that's what it's all about. It's about how it makes you feel. So in the walls in here, we've got grass cloths, we've got an upholstered suede wall, which I defy anybody to walk past without kind of just putting their hand on it. We've got mirrored wallings, which basically just has a cleanness and a coolness. So it's about mixing those textures, smooth against rough, soft against hard. Texture is everything. I think it's finally hitting home. Again, I mentioned how long I've been doing this, and the impact that I think we've finally woken up to, the fact that as an interior designer we have a huge impact on the creation of waste and through the choices that we make. I think it's taken a long time for that to come home to roost, but I think it finally has. In terms of the sustainability, I think at the forefront of that is fabrics. I remember when they first started introducing them, and we had reps come to see us, and they'd have the books out, and you'd go, nah. But there's no difference. There feels no difference now from fabrics which are created from, was it 10 plastic bottles per metre? I think one of the velvets is these days, to the real thing. I think styles coming through, or styles that are strengthening in popularity, have been around for a while, but I think are the go-to is the warm modernism. So it's the interiors that 10 years ago would have had lightwoods. It's this warming of everything, warming of colours, warming of timbers. So interesting timber choices as well, in veneers. The apartment here, we've got a beautiful Bur elm, which obviously ties in with the development, but it's just got a real personality. So the fact that you can actually see how it grew. So I think that's going to continue. So the use of warm timbers alongside kind of clean, contemporary, but ultimately warm interiors. In terms of textures within an interior, I think it's a question of considering every plane that you can add texture to. So whether that be the walls, that be the fabrics hanging at the windows, or the rugs on the floor. Texture it's about balancing out the soft with the the coarse and the plush with the hard. It needs that balance. It needs the balance between textures for it to work really well. And there's some amazing, the boucle armchairs or the dry weave sofa I'm sitting on. There's so much variety, but when you collect them all together, before you get to being in the room, sitting with them, having all of those samples in front of you and going, like, okay, this is a big plane, this is a small plane, you know, this is how it works together. We've gone from the very large botanical prints, and they're still in there. I mean, we're saying with colour forecasting in the jewel tones, all the big kind of botanical palm prints, etc., are still there, but they've been pulled back, and they're now being balanced out with a much more subtle kind of dobby prints. So small scale, going back a little bit, some of the there's really cute prints coming through, which are kind of a bit 50s, 60s style, but they are very much prints and sit alongside kind of interesting weaves really, really nicely. I think that's all about being realistic. Lots of people kind of set up a dressing table and call it a home office. You need to, people's screens, I mean, very few people only use one screen now. I've seen too many people who set up a home office, and you just like, that doesn't work. That is a dressing table with a desk chair in front of it. So be realistic and give yourself enough space, because what's the alternative for like a 2.5 hour commute? So yeah, make it work for you and give it enough space. I wallpapered the ceiling the other day and I loved it. I think it's about as much about doing different things with the same product as it is having new products. So it's just mixing up ideas, and say doing a job for quite a number of years, you can kind of, I remember doing some of these the last time round, yeah, I think it's just having fun with the materials and just seeing an application that you haven't done before or for a very long time. Mixing old and new has always been kind of really important to me, because I think that's what makes a home, things that you buy for a new space or something that you've had all your life. And it's really good to see that kind of mixing it or sort of coming through in the market as in general, because I think, well, it's environmentally it's the right thing to do, financially it's the right thing to do. I think we all know that without functionality, aesthetics is a very kind of shallow pool that results in huge amounts of waste. If something doesn't work right, we soon get fed up with it, and it soon ends up standing by bins waiting for a council collection, which should be avoided at all times. So functionality, understanding the design brief, it comes down to understanding what you need. Personalisation is key. It's your home. It should be a reflection of you. Someone should be able to walk into your home and actually, through the keyhole, so work out who you are and what makes you tick. In an increasingly kind of a world where we're kind of compartmentalised by what we buy, I think when you kind of look outside of that obvious kind of supply route, so if you're looking at antique markets or the interior or second-hand items, or online art galleries where you have the broadest collection of imagery, and seeing what you have the response to. So yeah, if it is leopard print, it is leopard print. It's you. It's who you are, and each home is an expression of you. Recently, I think what I have noticed is the growth, certainly in the investment in bathrooms. Because generally, for most people, the bathroom is the only room in the house that's got a lock on it. And if you just to actually have a wellness area, somewhere that you can kind of, you're on your own, you're in the bath, and we've done hammams recently. So I'm just thinking of how bathrooms have developed. You know, they used to be kind of the utility room on the first floor. Now they're more about wellness. So I've done a hammam recently. A sauna, but seats in showers. They become more spaces being dedicated to bathrooms, and certainly in kind of space planning as well.